What's going on, guys? This is Andy, and it's been a long time since I made a video about Animal Crossing, and that's mainly because we've gotten absolutely no news about the game since its initial announcement for the Switch, and honestly, it's really difficult waiting this long, and it isn't just because I really want the game. I mean, well, that is most of the reason, but there are a few other things that make me wonder why it's taking so long, so for this video, I'm going to be talking about a few of the petty reasons why the wait is so difficult for me and a lot of other people out there. So first off, Animal Crossing is one of Nintendo's best-selling franchises. On all the platforms that the series has appeared on, it's consistently been one of the best-selling games on their respective systems. Even if you ignore the Japanese exclusive N64 version, the original game on the GameCube was the 5th best-selling GameCube game worldwide, breaking about 3.15 million units sold, which is more copies than a lot of other big franchises for the GameCube. It outsold Metroid Prime, it outsold Sonic Adventure 2, it outsold the Thousand Year Door, it even outsold Wind Waker. I'm not joking, look it up, it's pretty crazy. Wild World sold even better. That game broke 11.75 million units, and that was the 9th best-selling game on the system, which is very impressive considering that most of the best-selling DS games were all Pokemon and Brain Age games. Those dominated sales charts, because the Brain Age games were the Blue Wave or Blue Ocean titles that really got a lot of the older people, a lot of older parents and grandmas to purchase a DS to be able to, I guess, exercise their brain. And obviously Pokemon is Pokemon. So the fact that Animal Crossing was one of the few games that could compete with those franchises is a pretty big deal. It's even more impressive, too, when you take into account that it's sold better than Super Mario 64 DS. And I know you can say whatever you want about Mario 64 DS, about it being a remake, and about the D-pad limiting the controls and everything, which I don't really think that's the case, because I own the game, and I really feel like it controls just fine, but whatever, we'll debate about that another day. Point is, Mario 64 DS was still a main series 3D game for the Nintendo DS, and it was a launch title, so the fact that Animal Crossing Wild World outsold it is pretty impressive. New Leaf set another record, selling 12.1 million units on the 3DS, which only had about half the amount of units sold as the Nintendo DS, and yet Animal Crossing New Leaf outsold Wild World, so that's pretty impressive. This made it the 7th best-selling game on the 3DS. It was just shy of outselling Super Mario 3D Land, but still, even just being close to the sales of that game is really impressive once again, because 3D Land was the big 3D Mario platformer for the system. Animal Crossing was also the only game that was able to keep up with the huge sales of any Mario or Pokemon game, and I know this isn't as big of a deal because we're talking about a portable system here, and this might seem kind of a void argument because of that, but still, the point remains that Animal Crossing New Leaf outsold Smash Bros. For the 3DS. Once again, I know that might sound kind of void because we're talking about a portable system without local multiplayer here, but I think it's at least worth mentioning. I know a lot of people don't love evaluating games based off numbers and units sold alone, and there is a bit more that goes into it, such as development costs and certain outliers, like certain reasons why a game might not perform well, like marketing or something like that. But when a game franchise, such as Animal Crossing, sells so well, so consistently, and has thousands of fans online on Reddit and YouTube and social media supporting the franchise, it really shows how important this series is to Nintendo. I couldn't find exact numbers or rankings for Nintendo's most profitable franchises, but I think it's pretty clear that Animal Crossing is up there. And this is why it doesn't seem to make sense to wait so long between main series entries. Other franchises, such as Pikmin and Metroid and Star Fox, they have long waits between titles as well, and I really like those franchises too. In fact, I especially love Star Fox 64. I have so many memories of watching my brothers play through that game when I was younger, and I love the 3DS remake. But I can at least see why those franchises have large gaps of time between games. They don't sell exceptionally well. I mean, they don't sell poorly, don't get me wrong, but they aren't Nintendo's big selling franchises though, and they probably aren't as profitable for them. So it's best to shelve those franchises until they have a specific new idea, or it's been a certain amount of time where they think that they can reignite interest in the series. And even at that, sometimes they'll just delegate development of those titles to be lower priority, which seems to be the case with Pikmin 4 right now, or they'll hand those franchises to smaller teams or external teams or something like that, which they've done a lot with recent Star Fox and Metro games. But Animal Crossing, it's sold amazing numbers on each console it's appeared on. Like, even City Folk, which was the worst selling main entry in the series, still managed to be the 19th best-selling Wii game and hit 4.32 million units sold. Perhaps the developers couldn't think of an idea or mechanic for Animal Crossing Switch right away? I don't know, but we know that a lot of the Animal Crossing development team worked on Splatoon and its sequel, but I'm sure that still doesn't account for every single developer of Animal Crossing. So it's just really confusing to understand why it's been taking this long, and I'm really curious how long this Switch Animal Crossing game has been in development for. Like, did they take a break between Animal Crossing games and didn't just start making the Switch entry until recently? Who knows? Another reason why waiting is so difficult is because of the past few entries of the series. I'm not saying that the past few entries have been bad. Well, most of them haven't been bad. I'm looking at you, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. I'm not even going to try to put it blatantly. Like, it's a bad game. Do not play that. But they've all been spin-offs, is my point. Nintendo seemed to realize, I guess, the sales potential of Animal Crossing after New Leaf sold so well, and they kind of proceeded to milk the franchise, which is fine to an extent, but let's look at it this way. Prior to New Leaf, we never saw a single Animal Crossing spin-off title. It's always main series game after main series game. But since New Leaf, what have we gotten? So we got Animal Crossing Plaza for the Wii U, which I know is like a free-to-play game, and it was really just more of like a little application more than anything, but still, it was an Animal Crossing. It was a piece of software that was Animal Crossing related that came out. We got Happy Home Designer. Pretty good game, actually, but still a spinoff. We got a Turd, or Amiibo Festival, and we got Pocket Camp. I know, a mobile game, but still, it's an Animal Crossing game that isn't a main series game. And that's not even mentioning the abundance of Amiibo cards or figures that we got in the process of getting all those games as well. True, we did get the Welcome Amiibo update for New Leaf, and that did breathe a little bit of new life into the game, but it still wasn't a ton of new content, and most of us were waiting for the announcement for a Wii U game. And what we got was basically just a little expansion for New Leaf and a ton of spin-offs and Amiibos. When, like I said, a lot of Animal Crossing fans, such as me, just wanted the next main series game. So it's weird to think that Nintendo released so many Animal Crossing games around that time, yet it was still, and to an extent still is, a really tough time to be an Animal Crossing fan. Because we were getting a lot of stuff, but it wasn't stuff that we exactly wanted. Now, it's important to note that these spin-off titles didn't replace the development of a new Animal Crossing game, at least for the most part. Amiibo Festival was developed primarily by ND Cube, the people that are behind the more recent Mario Party games. Pocket Camp was developed, as far as I know, primarily by Dina, the company Nintendo partnered with to produce most of its mobile applications. Animal Crossing Plaza and Happy Home Designer, well, they were developed by Nintendo EAD, which is the section containing most of the developers of the previous Animal Crossing games, so it's possible that they could have been working on a Wii U game instead of working on those two games, although I think Animal Crossing Plaza is kind of an odd case because I feel like that was kind of like, well, they're making the character models for a potential Wii U game. They just gave us the Plaza in the meantime, so like that didn't really hamper development at all. Regardless, it's a little confusing. My guess is that since the Wii U wasn't selling well, Nintendo didn't want the devs to spend so much time on another entry for a dying system. Yet we got Amiibo Festival, and they ended up bringing Splatoon, the original Splatoon, to the Wii U instead of it being like a Switch launch title, but we ended up getting Splatoon 2 as a sequel. Yeah, I don't know. It's really confusing. I wish there was an easy answer, but there's not. I guess they thought that the Wii U would have a longer lifespan initially, which is why they were developing Splatoon, and then they thought they'd make an Animal Crossing after. But yeah, clearly that didn't happen. Regardless, it's been really difficult seeing all these spin-off titles and 2 entries in Splatoon be released, and still no main series Animal Crossing game since New Leaf. Now, just side note, I really do like Splatoon. I'm not trying to talk down on that franchise. I actually really like Splatoon 2. Really good game. Really enjoy it, but it's been so long since New Leaf that it's just a little weird, is my point. The next thing that makes the wait so difficult is that previous games in the series didn't have such large gaps between entries. The wait between the GameCube original and Wild World, well, it's kind of an odd one, but the GameCube original released in 2001 in Japan, 2002 in North America, 2003 in Australia, and 2004 in Europe. I had no idea until researching for this video that it took so long to distribute this game across the world. In fact, like every year, they seem to localize the game to a different region, so it's kind of funny. But Wild World came out in 2005, in everywhere except for Europe, which got the game in 2006. This means that Japan had the longest wait between entries at 3 years and 11 months. And even if you go by the N64 release date, like the original Debutse no More, it totals to 4 years and 7 months. Definitely took a while, but it wasn't too long of a wait outside of Japan. So Wild World came out pretty soon for most other regions. City Folk came out at the end of 2008 globally, making it about a 3-year gap, but a bit shorter in Europe since Wild World came out in 2006 in Europe instead. Like I said, it's a little sloppy, but just the reality. For some reason, Animal Crossing games have been very inconsistent with when they've been coming out in terms of different regions. But lastly, we have New Leaf, which took 4 years to release in Japan and just a little over 4.5 years for the rest of the world, since Japan got the game in November of 2012, but everywhere else got it summer of 2013. That was a pretty annoying wait, but it was well worth it because New Leaf was awesome. But how long has it been since New Leaf released? This June, it'll be a full 6 years since New Leaf came out globally. Even worse, it's going to be a full 7 years if you go from the Japan release date this November. Given Animal Crossing Switch doesn't get delayed, I'm sure it'll come out a bit before then. But still, the wait has been extremely longer than previous entries, and worst of all, we've seen no gameplay and don't even have an official title of the game. Think back between, if you look at the wait between City Folk and New Leaf, that was a pretty long wait, at least here, in North America. Outside Japan, it was a pretty big wait, 4.5 years. But the game came out summer 2013 here in the States. We knew about the game since, summer 2011. At E3, when they announced the 3DS, they showed off screenshots of the new Animal Crossing. A year later, we got an official title with a gameplay trailer and everything. And what do we have for Animal Crossing Switch? Nothing. We just know that it exists. We know that it's in development and that's supposedly coming out this year. No gameplay, nothing. And I think that's the thing that really, really makes the wait so difficult. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we'll see the game in action during a spring direct or maybe E3, but honestly, that seems like it's wishful thinking at this point. And I kind of just accidentally segued into my last point, so I'm kind of reiterate here, but Nintendo announced this game back in September of 2019. And like I said, we've seen nothing. The last Nintendo Direct was really good. Fire Emblem 3 Houses looks really good. I mean, Hogwarts memes aside, it looks really good. And Mario Maker 2, Link's Awakening remake, and Astral Chain were all awesome reveals. I'm excited for all those games, especially Mario Maker 2. It's kind of hard to be disappointed with the Direct when we got so many good reveals, because, the Direct was great. And saying something like, oh, where was Animal Crossing, makes me feel a little spoiled, But man, it still is so difficult as an Animal Crossing fan, given all the previous factors that I just mentioned throughout this video, that we didn't get anything about Animal Crossing during the Direct. We don't know if there's an Animal Crossing Direct coming soon. We don't know if there's going to be a Spring Direct that it's going to be announced at. We don't know if it's going to be until E3. We don't know if the game's going to be delayed. It's a little worrying, Like I said, I don't want to sound spoiled and be like, oh, I'm entitled to hear more about Animal Crossing, because I'm not. But just as a fan, just stinks waiting is all. But, that's going to cover it for now. Thanks for listening to me complain about Nintendo not giving me exactly what I wanted for 10 minutes straight. How long has this video been? I don't even know. I need to edit all the parts together. I don't even know how long this video is going to end up being when all said is done. But thanks for watching. Thanks for staying with me. And let me know in the comments section what you guys think about all this. Are you fine with waiting? I'm fine with waiting as long as the game is good. When do you think the game will come out? All that kind of stuff in the comment section below. Hopefully we'll get more Animal Crossing news soon, and I'll be able to actually give you guys news videos and speculation based off all that. But until then, it's gonna be a rough ride. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.